The following production is produced by the State University of New York College at Oneonta.
Good evening and welcome to this week's edition of Inside Red Dragon Sports. I'm your host, Geoff Hassard, Assistant Director of Athletics and Sports Information Director here at SUNY Oneonta. And it's hard to believe it still is spring out there, even though we do have some snow still on the ground. But tonight we're going to continue our profiles and highlights of some of the spring teams, and tonight we're going to talk with women's lacrosse. So join me after the break, and I'll be joined by tonight's first guest, head women's lacrosse coach, Jess Posway.
WUOW 104.7 FM is the region's premier radio station, offering award-winning programming from National Public Radio and Pacifica Radio networks, giving you the chance to become more informed about the arts, information, and entertainment from around the country and around the world. WUOW is your community radio station. Join us and support the sound.
Welcome back to the show. Joining me now is head women's lacrosse coach, Jess Posway. Welcome back to the show, Jess.
Thanks, Geoff.
How are things going so far?
Everything's going pretty well. We're a young team. We only have one senior this year, so we're really looking to build up on what we've got and excited to bring everyone back for next year, so I'm pretty excited. Yes, and we have some pretty exciting players. And, why don't we talk a little bit about your involvement with the All-America Committee. You're involved with that, and how we have, 5 players that are being watched for potential All-Americans this year. So why don't we talk about some of those players? Yeah, I'm a member of the All-American Selection Committee for the upstate New York region, the metro region, and we were voting and nominating on a list for preseason All-Americans, and we actually got 5 put to the list, which is pretty impressive for us. It's the first time that's ever happened. So it's nice that everyone's kind of recognizing us and starting to see us as a major lacrosse program, and especially in the SUNY system, which is very competitive. We've got 2 teams on the top 20 list right now in SUNYs. And Cortland actually just beat the number 3 team in the country yesterday. So we have a very competitive group that we're in with. And we have Rebecca Monteith, who is a returner, who was all-region selection for All-American last year, and she was one of the top players that they had on the list, which is very exciting. And we also have a freshman coming in on the watch list who comes from a very good program, Northport. She's a low defender. Her name's Taylor O'Brien. Okay. Now you talk about. Well, let's talk a little bit about the SUNYAC. The SUNYAC women's lacrosse over the last 3 or 4 years has gotten a lot better. Buffalo State is up there now. Cortland has been there. Brockport and Geneseo programs have now kind of, they transitioned with some new coaches, and we're there. And even Fredonia's not bad. So how do you see us this year? Yeah, we definitely have gotten more competitive. In fact, the Brockport was the first team in the SUNYACs last year that got a bid to the NCAAs that wasn't an automatic qualifier, which is pretty impressive because they only have 10 of them to give out in women's lacrosse. And with those 10 go to a lot of independent schools. So that in itself right there just shows you how competitive it is. I really want us to be placing in the tournament. They only take the top 4 teams in the tournament. So you just mentioned about 5 teams, and including us is 6. So I really think that Cortland's obviously going to be doing well. Brockport looks pretty promising, and Buff State's doing well. So I really want to get in there in the 3-4 spot and just do some upsets this year. I'm excited for conference. Now our first, we have a couple non-conference games left on our schedule, and then we get right into SUNYAC schedule. And our first opponent is a road game at Buff State. Yes. And after that, I guess you could say it might level off a little bit. I think we have New Paltz and Potsdam, and then we kind of finish our season with those teams that we're probably going to be competing for those playoff spots for. So do you think by that point, with those, we play a pretty good non-conference schedule as well. We got Franklin and Marshall coming up, who's number 8 in the country, or 7. We've already played Amherst, who is one of the top teams. Do you think that the scheduling that you've been able to put together is going to help us towards the end of this year? Definitely. I think it's the hardest schedule that we've ever had for the program, and we've actually played 4 teams in the top 20 with Mary Washington and St. John Fishers as well. So it's very, very strong, and the games that we have played against them, we've been, if not beating them at half, tied with them, or a goal or 2 away. And it's just kind of been nice to have that schedule because it's harder teams, and we're wanting to improve our SUNYACs, so we're getting better with that. So it's kind of nice for us to get it out of our system now so we can kind of see what we need to work on, improve on, and capitalize on. And with Franklin and Marshall being the last game that we play before we go and face Buff State away, which is always a tough game, and going 4.5 hours away. I'm excited because the girls are working hard. They see what they need to improve on, and they really are trying to put the changes in so that when season comes, we can utilize it to the best of our advantage. Playing a schedule with non-conference games that aren't as competitive doesn't put you in advantage when tough situations happen for season with conference. So starting off with Buff State will be a good test for us, and then we have a couple of, I won't say easier, but a couple of games where we should be able to take advantage right off the first draw. And then we go to the end of our season where we have Brockport, Cortland right after each other. So that's going to be another hard test, but that's perfect timing, I think, for us, because then we go right into SUNYACs. And if we can show Brockport and Cortland what we have right before SUNYACs and we're playing them there, then at least they'll be a little bit, I don't know, intimidated, hopefully, by us.
Yeah, no, I think that, so when you play those teams that are, top 20 teams in the poll, what kinds of things do you hope to accomplish? I mean, do you break it down, your attack, your midfielders and defenders? Like what do you work on in those areas to try and say, hey, we need to do this in this area? I
think Amherst is a really great example of a game that we had that our defense at least held Amherst to 10 goals. The score was 10-4. Our defense held Amherst to 10 goals. They took over 40 shots that game. I'm pretty sure it was 40 shots. So that's a very good accomplishment for us, for defense. When you look at it, that they played a team 5 days before us, and they scored 14 on them, and that team was also ranked in the top 20. It's great for us. It's a good morale boost. We just need to get everyone on the same page at one time, and that's one thing that we're really trying to work on, because there'll be games where attack's exceptional and just really steps up, or midfield stepping up, or defense is stepping up. And the problem that we've been having is putting a full game together with everyone taking their turns. But I think we were just waiting for conference, and we're going to really show everyone what we've got, because when they work together, it's the most amazing thing I've ever seen. Right.
So when you play those teams, you can emphasize to your team when you show them film and all that kind of stuff afterwards, like, hey, we were playing with them. Here's the great things we were doing. And then now, like you said, putting it all together, because in SUNYAC, that's where you want to be playing your best lacrosse. So how do the kids react to that? I mean, in their areas, in their midfielders and the attacks and that kind of thing. So how do they handle all that?
I think what's been happening is we have been looking over game film, and we have been looking at other opponents and scouting and doing all those things that are going to be making us better. They definitely know where they need to improve on, and they are working hard in practice to try to get it there. It's that focus and that commitment, because they definitely have the talent. It's just making sure that they're doing it and coming through with it.
Right. Now, when we talk about your team, conditioning and all the kinds of things that we do in season, off season, how important is that when you're going to play a schedule such as 3 or 4 or 5 top 20 teams?
Yeah, conditioning is a huge part for lacrosse. It's the fastest sport on 2 legs. That's what it's been deemed, without ice skates or anything like that. So it's a really big part of women's lacrosse specifically, because unlike men's lacrosse, we don't sub as often. Men's lacrosse subs in and off quite frequently, and we have girls that hopefully will stay on the field for 60 minutes that might take a break when the ball's on defense or on attack. But the midfielders, they need to be in great condition. Yes, and it's not just distance running and sprinting too, and it's change of pace and all that stuff, and fast twitch muscles are huge for us. So we've been lifting, we've been doing pull workouts, we've been long runs, sprints, all sorts of stuff. The girls, I'm sure, will talk to you about all the great things that they've been doing. But what the nice thing is that we have such a well-polished bench that I can easily take someone off the bench and put them in, and you don't notice that big of a change from a starter to someone coming in off the bench, which is a nice position for us to have.
Right, some depth, because it is important. I mean, injuries and all those kinds of things that occur throughout the season. It's a long season.
Yes.
Even though it seems like it only lasts like a month, but it is a long season. Some of the players, maybe some freshmen or some of the players that we maybe want to keep our eyes open for as we see the box scores and stuff. I mean, who are some of those players we want to watch for?
Definitely, I think on attack, our 3 strongest players right now are Rebecca Monteith, Caroline Tully, and Molly McGrory. Molly's really stepped out of her shell this year, and she's starting to come together and has so much more confidence and is looking to feed to those other attackers, which is really nice. Tully is just a really strong presence with her left hand. I mean, she's improved her righty so much now that it's hard to defend her. And Rebecca's the leader on attack for us. People look to her. She's doing pretty well considering she's getting face guarded every single game. People know who she is. She broke the record freshman year, and ever since then she's had a target on her back with other people. So she's done well with that. In midfield, Sam Vor's really stepping up as a D-wing. She's starting to play attack more and is getting more comfortable, and you can really notice the difference in her gameplay. Heidi Kissinger is doing a great job on the draw, and we've just got other girls that are stepping up now. Sarah Stark in her sophomore year looks night and day from freshman year. She's done so much work in the off season, and it's paid off so much for her. And then we've got some freshmen coming in like Casey Sarrell. She just doesn't give up when it comes to playing in the midfield, which is the most important thing you can be as a midfielder. And then you've got Jen Fox, who's come from women's soccer, who decided to try out, and she's just been a spark in the midfield as well, so it's nice to have that. For low defense, Brianne Cahuli's our junior that's returned, and she is just so poised and leads the defense so well by example, and it's nice to have that. Taylor O'Brien is a freshman that's come from Northport, which I said before is a great program, and she's on the preseason All-American watch list. She's doing an exceptional job out there. She did so well in fall ball, and she's really stepping up as a freshman, which for us to have a freshman step up and be that comfortable, it's awesome. And then we've got Cynthia Pragg, who's just come out of not nowhere, but has, I guess, come into her own and is just really, she got a chance to start, and she hasn't let it up since. She hasn't looked back, so she's doing really well too. And we've got 2 goalkeepers this year. Annelise Michetta, she's been our starting goalkeeper for the past 3 years. She's doing a really, really good job. Amherst was the best game I have ever seen her play in her career. And we've got Laura Gross, who comes to us from Yorktown, and Laura is doing a really good job, not only being there for when we need her in goal, but pushing Annelise to her fullest, which is nice to have a little competition in the goal. And she's definitely going to be getting some playing time. She had quite a bit of playing time in Scranton, and it's nice to have 2 solid goalkeepers.
Yeah, and right up the middle, I mean, from your low defense, I mean, it's great to see some young players, and like you said, I mean, we only have the 1 senior.
Yes.
So with all of them playing together as a unit,
yes,
you hope that all comes together by the end of this year, and then got great things to look forward to for next year.
Absolutely.
Just briefly, you were a Division III athlete yourself at Geneseo.
Mm-hmm.
What did that experience mean for you, and how's that maybe transferred to your coaching?
The best thing about playing Division III for me was the chance to be something other than an athlete. I was involved in numerous clubs, and I got to study abroad, and I got to play 2 sports in college, and I did well academically. And it just set me up for the rest of my life so well. It helped me balance things and learn that deadlines are deadlines, but you can still have fun playing sports, but being held accountable for everything. And I think that's the biggest thing. It's accountability. And when you do play sports, even Division I, II, or III, it's about balancing things. And coming back and being able to coach in the conference that I participated in, and having a chance to be here at Oneonta, it's just so nice to see how much academics are regarded here and how well the girls really do balance sports and grades. Last season we were a top 20 academic squad. We were nominated and selected for that, which is huge because you need to have over a 3, 4, 6 cumulative GPA for your team. So that's the whole entire team of 26 girls having over that grade point average is impressive, and I give them so much credit because they balance their schedules. They go to extra help still. They go to office hours, and I think being an athlete in Division III and now coaching in it, that's one of the things I can respect the most.
And that certainly transfers for when you through your coaching and what you emphasize with them during the off season.
Thank you.
So we certainly wish you good luck this year.
Thank
I know the spring will be over before we know it, but we certainly hope that you're playing longer into May. All right.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for coming by.
I appreciate it.
All right. Well, I'd like to thank Jess Posway for coming by tonight. And after the break, I'll be joined by junior goalkeeper Annelise Michetta.
What makes D3 special is the ability to participate in my team and within the broader community.
The perfect ending to a perfect season.
Being a D3 student athlete has completely expanded my life.
I learned how to lead. I really found a voice.
What time is it?
It's more about the experience rather than just a sport itself.
Without the experience of being a Division III student athlete, I wouldn't be the person who I am today.
NCAA Division III. Discover, develop, dedicate.
Welcome back to the show. Joining me now is junior goalkeeper from the women's lacrosse team, Annelise Michetta. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Jeff. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
My name is Annelise. I am a junior on the Oneonta State women's lacrosse team. I'm a geology major, and I'm from Copiague, New York.
Now, geology. I
Yes.
don't think we've had a geology major on here.
Really?
So tell me a little bit about geology.
Well, I love it. I've loved it forever since I was a little kid.
Were you the kid that was out digging in the sand
Yes.
and all?
Collecting rocks everywhere I went.
Wow, that's
I'm
pretty
really
cool.
into the tsunami and earthquake aspect of it, so hopefully maybe do disaster management in the future and help some people out.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Do you have to go to further schooling for that? Or
Yes, I'm going to go to grad school probably to do either disaster management or I might do oceanography. So I'm not really sure yet, but it's exciting. That's the good thing about geology is that there's so much to offer from just one major.
Now, where would your graduate school take you?
Oh, I don't know.
I mean, do you any particular areas of the country that you'd like to?
Hawaii.
Hawaii.
Italy, perhaps.
Yeah.
It depends where I get a good job and hopefully just to help people.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, will you be able to get a master's degree? Will someone be able to pay for your schooling?
Me.
If you get there? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. There are, as you know, there are positions where, you start working for somebody and they would help pay
Yes.
for your schooling. And
Yeah, I'm probably going to do the master's and then maybe teach or coach even. That would be really great to coach and get my master's paid through that.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Now, well, before we came on air, you're going to be traveling a lot this summer.
Yes.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about where you're going to be going?
I'm going to Italy for a month. I'm going to Sicily for a week, and then I'm going to spend the rest of like 4 weeks in Florence. So I'm going to do that, and then a week after that, I'm going to the Keys to work on for this oceanography company. It's like a paid job, and basically pretty much hunting for treasure. It's not 100% set in stone yet, but it's in the plans. And then after that, I'm going to Maine for 2 weeks to work on my senior research project.
And what will that be? What tell us a little bit about that.
I'm going on the island of Matinicus Island. It's off the coast of Penobscot Bay in Maine. And basically, the geologic map that's out now is incorrect. And basically, I'm going to go in and map the different outcrops and look at the different rocks that are on there and try and figure out the story. Why is this map wrong and how can we fix it? And hopefully get a finished map out there.
Now, you say geological map. Does that mean just the rock formations or the rocks themselves?
Well, it's the bedrock map. So it's basically what's underneath the soil and everything.
Okay.
And this could be helpful. We think that there's a fault running through the island, which is basically a big crack in the island. Basically, the fault could give groundwater because the rocks would be more porous near the fault. So if there is groundwater, if there is a fault, there would be groundwater for the small island. It's hard for a small island to get water, obviously, because it's pretty isolated. It's like 20 miles off the coast. So this would definitely help the people that live on this island to get water, a reliable source.
Now, do they know why maybe the island wasn't studied so close? Why would these maps be wrong?
Oh, it wasn't studied that close. That's why. basically they kind of guesstimated what's like, all right, here's, well, it's called the Pluton. It's like igneous rocks. There's igneous rocks over here, and there's sedimentary rocks over here. And they kind of just guessed, well, well, it goes right here. And they kind of just guesstimated that's where it should be. So we're going to go in and fix it.
Wow.
Yeah.
I tell you, I'm impressed by how much you know about rocks. I mean, I'm just sitting here, I'm getting a geology lesson, which is great.
It's exciting. Great. It's cool. It's different than just looking at a rock, and there's a whole history behind it. And people don't really realize that the rocks were here way before we were. Things were going on for the Earth billions of years. So it's interesting to take a look back at the rocks, and it's basically going in a time machine saying, like, all right, well, this is what the rocks were deposited here. This is what was happening here. So upstate New York actually was underneath water, and it was like located very close to the equator. So it's interesting to think it was warm, you know. It's cool.
Wow. So now, when you came to Oneonta, when you were choosing schools, geology, we have a great geology program here. I mean, some of the professors that are...
Yeah, the professors are great. I'm learning so much, obviously. I had no idea anything before I came in, just like, oh, plate tectonics. I knew of it, but I had no idea how much went into it.
And are they advising you on these projects that you're going to be working on?
I'm working with Dr. Martha Groudon. I have her for 2 classes now, and we basically have like research meetings every week to talk about what kind of rocks are there and what we're going to find when we go into the field. So I'm doing the project with her. She's a great teacher. I love her. So I'm pretty happy about it.
Wow. Well, I keep talking about rocks, but we should probably talk a little bit about lacrosse as well. No, I mean, it's great. It's great. You've been a goalie for us for this your 3rd year.
Yeah.
I guess probably when you're sitting in the goal, you probably feel like sometimes people are throwing rocks at you. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a pretty dangerous position. It can be. What's it like to be in there? You know, I mean, you're kind of like the last person in.
It's a great feeling when you make a good save and you get the ball out and you clear it out, and just the feeling of being able to direct the defense, and when they move as one, just because that you're telling them where to be and how to move, it's a great feeling. It's amazing to see them. You know, I love it.
So your experience has probably helped you, because Coach Posway said earlier that, you know, we have a relatively young team and we're only losing 1 player. I mean, so you're kind of, you know, within that leadership role with some of the younger players. I mean, how does that feel for you as a junior?
I feel like I was kind of a natural born leader. I always have wanted to take the lead in group projects and things like that. So being in the goal cage, it definitely helps me express that. And I love the girls on the team. I love them to death. And I love when they look up to me, and I like knowing what to say. Now that I'm a junior, I know what to say to them more and how to react to certain situations the right way, since I'm more mature and older and everything. So I really love being a leader on this team. I love these girls, and I love that they look up to me. So, and I'll be able to use it forever in my career.
Yes,
you know?
it is. You can. And I'm excited for you because you are so excited about the lacrosse and your chosen academic work and stuff like that. So I certainly want to thank you. I mean, maybe we definitely want to have you come back, because I'd like to talk a little bit more about your academic work, especially after your trip. So maybe we can get you back in here in the fall or next spring.
Okay.
Well, good luck for the rest of the year.
Thank you so much.
All right. Well, I'd like to thank Annelise Michetta for coming by and talking not only lacrosse, but giving us a little geology lesson tonight. And after the break, I'll be joined by junior Rebecca Monteith.
Once you post your image online, you can't take it back. Anyone can see it. Family, friends, anyone. Remember, think before you post.
Welcome back to the show. Joining me now is junior Rebecca Monteith from the women's lacrosse team. Welcome back to the show, Rebecca.
Thanks. It's good to be back.
Well, of course, we had you on last year, and we talked about your phenomenal freshman year that you had, where you pretty much shattered all the scoring records. And last year, Coach Posway, who was on earlier, you know, last year you were closely marked and maybe double teamed at times and triple teamed because people just didn't want you to, you know, beat them, I guess. You want to shut off the best player, which I guess in a sense that's a compliment, because you are the best player that people are trying to shut down. So now you're starting a new year. I mean, you're off to a good start, but do you notice that they're trying to do the same things to you?
Yes, definitely. I've never really started the game being face guarded at first, but I noticed that when I do get the ball or go to drive to cage that I'm automatically double teamed or triple teamed, and it makes it really hard to make
plays.
Yeah.
But you have become, I mean, you're getting more in a position to set your teammates up this year because they are focusing on you so much. So do you think that part of your game is going to be important for you this year?
Yeah, I think that it's so easy to see that when I'm getting double teamed or triple teamed that everyone else recognizes it and spreads out and is able to see the open girl and make a play out of it. Hopefully I'll be able to assist more this year too.
Right.
Out of that.
Right. Now we have some young attackers up front with you. We mentioned Molly McGrory. You know, they're doing a nice job for us. And Coach Posway also mentioned, who's our second? Caroline Tully, both sophomores. How do you guys kind of, you know, play together? I mean, is it you guys gel well together? I mean, are you still working on it?
I think we're still working on it. Yes, last year was probably more of we've gotten better since last year, I would have to say. We were the 3 starting attackers last year too, so now we're just kind of getting back into things and helping the freshmen out and making them feel more comfortable on the attack also. Tully and I work well together now. She's a lefty, so we've been good on making her sides better to take to goal.
Right.
That makes sense.
Right.
And she's been assisting a few goals. Molly has a lot of assists too now. So
it seems like it's almost like in another sport like basketball, where you play together for so long, you kind of know where each other are on the field at all times. I mean, are you getting to that point where maybe now you're getting there?
We're still working on that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, which is hard because, you know, sometimes it looks chaotic, and you know, of course, whistles always interrupt sometimes. You know, with the shooting space and all that. For those who don't understand much about women's lacrosse, when they're blowing the whistles and people are like, why are they blowing the whistle? You know, somebody was just going to score a goal. Yeah. So certainly, we hope we know that the 3 of you are certainly tremendous players for us, and getting to know working with some of the younger players. Who on the team? You know, because we do have a young team, who do you see on our team that you think might impress us as we go along?
I think definitely Taylor O'Brien, like Coach mentioned earlier. She comes with a really good program. She's very mature in her lacrosse skills, I think, and she always knows the right things to do, the right things to say, and I think you'll be impressed by what she's got to offer. Also, we have Casey Sorrell and Ashley Howard. They come from my hometown. I never actually got to play with them back at home, but I think they're two pretty strong players. Like Coach said, Cynthia on defense has been really stepping it up. And on attack, we have Alexa Anzalone and Chelsea Collins. I think when they get in, they can really show us what they've got. Yeah. They have some pretty good stick skills.
Now that's interesting that you know, we have a couple players from your high school, but you didn't actually get to play with them. Were they excited about being able to come here and finally get to play with you? Because I'm sure they heard all the stories, right?
I haven't really spoke to them about that. I mean, we knew who each other were before they came. Yeah. We just never really got the chance to play lacrosse together. So I think we just were friends before we were teammates. So
yeah. Which I think is great because it probably adds to that whole team, cohesiveness and how you guys would play on the field. What kinds of things are you looking forward to as we go? We're going to get into our SUNY schedule in a little over a week. What are you hoping for as we get into the SUNY schedule this year?
I'm just hoping to get over the bump we're at right now and just get a win in and keep it going that way. Right. We had a really tough schedule, like we were talking about earlier, and I think we just need one win to bring our spirits up and keep it going.
Now, do you like playing as an athlete, because you are a super competitor, what do you like playing the harder schedule, the better teams?
I do. It's just, I think it's a learning experience because when you do lose, it could be, like coaches say, a good loss. Yeah. You learn a lot from it, and when we go out there knowing that a team is ranked, you want to win that much more. Right. And you play well and you just leave it all out there, win or lose, you're still happy with how you played out there. Right. So I think that it's definitely prepared us to start SUNY X.
Right. Now so I would say, you would say as an athlete, that's a motivator when you say we're playing number 7 this week.
Yeah, definitely.
You know? So, I mean, the target's not on our back, it's on their back. And I hope that certainly as we progress here, I know as we get into the SUNY, we certainly will, I know that that will show as we go because of the tough games we have had. What student athlete experience, Division III, what has it meant for you so far as you're, you know, now you're in your junior year, you're closing out your third year.
Yeah.
What has it meant to be a Division III athlete here at Oneonta?
I think the main thing is that you know that everyone who plays Division III is here because they want to be here, and they love the game. They have some sort of passion for it. We're not getting paid to play. Right. We're not going to be some professionals. I mean, in some cases maybe, but not in lacrosse. So you know that everyone just wants to be here to play and have fun with it, and also you still have time to focus on your schoolwork and have some sort of a social life and be involved in other clubs and activities.
Right, so it's really the total experience that you enjoy the most out of your experience. Well, we certainly are glad that you're doing well and you're staying healthy, and we know that by the end of the season we certainly will see a lot more goals and assists from our entire attack because we do have a pretty strong attack. Those 3 players, we think those freshmen will develop because they already have started to play and got some playing time. So we wish you good luck and stay healthy, and hopefully everything will work out.
Thanks.
All right, well, I'd like to thank Rebecca Monteith for joining me this evening, and I'd like to thank the Women's Lacrosse Program for giving us their insight for this upcoming spring. We'd like to remind you that you can check out, as always, the spring schedules. They change almost by the minute. So we'd like to make sure that you check out our website for all the latest schedule changes and our 24-hour sports hotline. We'd like to thank you for joining us this week, and we'll see you next time on Inside Red Dragon Sports.